topic for today is bank rates and ratios. This is not a part of your syllabus, but yes, you can learn it as a general knowledge. And also, since this entire chapter is about commercial banks, so we'll get a better idea about how banks or commercial banks manages its funds and what are the instructions laid on by the RBI in terms of bank rates or ratios to the each of commercial banks. So we're going to study these 5 different rates over here. First one, statutory liquidity ratio. Second, cash reserve ratio. I'm sure these two ratios you would have heard very frequently whenever RBI is making a statement. Third, repo rate. Fourth, bank rate. And fifth one, reverse repo rate. All the 5 are equally important for efficient functioning of a commercial bank. First point, statutory liquidity ratio. What is it? It is the percentage on the total cash with the bank, which includes net demand, that's going to include current and savings account, time liabilities, fixed deposits and recurring deposits. Now here, statutory liquidity ratio is a percentage that is instructed by the RBI that each of the commercial banks must keep it with itself. Read that line again. Total cash with the bank, a percentage on the total cash with the bank. Let's say the bank has, for an example, 100 rupees. Okay, 100 rupees, and let's say the SLR rate is 10%. What is 10% on 100 rupees? 10 rupees. So the banks must retain with itself how much? 10 rupees. Is that clear? SLR is the percentage on the total cash. How do I include this total cash? Is whatever deposits or the cash inflow the bank collects, that is called as the total cash or total funds with the bank. On all that total cash, a percentage will be levied, that is called as SLR ratio. Now remember, this amount percentage may be same, but then the amount of deposits from bank to bank, it might change, correct? Syndicate might have 5 crores, S Bank may have 10 crores and so on. The amount of deposits each bank gathers might be different, but the percentage remains the same given by the RBI. Currently it stands at 18.50. That's the current rate that is levied by the Reserve Bank of India to the commercial banks. Now these total cash includes, as given up for 2 heads up above there, net demand and time liabilities. Net demand, as the name itself says, it makes sure that the cash that people might demand anytime. What does it include? Current and savings account. Now current account is open for whom? Business people or industries, correct? Now their transactions are very much frequent. They might require 1 lakh or require 10 crore, anything. Depending upon their level of transactions, the transactions are going to be frequent. The cash inflows and outflows are going to be very frequent. Same with savings bank account. There is no limit as to how much you can withdraw, how much you can deposit, correct? So you also have an overdraft facility for current account holders. That way, bank has to make sure there is always a fixed amount that is always available for current account and savings account, because people frequently deposit as well as withdraw using these both accounts. That's why it's called as net demand. Second part, time liabilities. Yes, it is a liability, but in time it's going to mature. What are those two types? Fixed and recurring. That is FDs and RD. FD, we have learned that it's a fixed sum of amount, lump sum amount, one-time investment for a time period. Opposite, recurring deposit is a periodic or a recurring deposit. Recurringly or periodically you are investing the amount, say 5,000 every month for 5 years. 5,000 every month for 5 years. So that is called as recurring deposit. Now fixed or recurring, you have to repay to your depositors, but then there is a benefit for the bank that there is time attached to it, correct? Now fixed deposit, if I am opening 10 lakh FD account for the years let's say 8 years, so until 8 years I can wait, or I can use that amount of 10 lakhs the customer has deposited for any other purpose, for lending of loan, for overdraft, etc. So there is that time period that I have to fulfill this liability. Same goes with recurring deposit. I know for sure this customer is opened RD account, every month there is an inflow of rupees 5,000 into the bank. So I can use that amount. When I have to pay him interest and when the account matures, I can take care of that in the coming time period. So both FD and RD, one thing that is attached to both these accounts is time period. Is that clear? So net demand is any time you have to be ready with the amount for dispatch. For time deposits or time liabilities, there is a limit for you to arrange money. I know FD is going to mature in next 2 years. So within 2 years, I have enough time to arrange for the customer to pay back the FD along with the principal and interest. Is that clear to all of you? Statutory liquidity ratio is the amount of, or is the percentage on total cash with the bank. Next one, cash reserve ratio. In short, it is called as CRR. It is the percentage of the total cash available with the bank that has to be kept with themselves or the bank. Now here cash reserve ratio currently stands at 3%. So one, it is a percentage that is kept with the bank itself, or next the percentage is to be kept with whom? The RBI. Okay, it is a regular percentage or a fixed percentage that has to be kept with the RBI, the central bank, and the remaining will be dealt with the bank for its operations. Today or currently RBI's rate is 3%. Is that clear? So statutory liquidity ratio is bank will keep it with itself. Cash reserve ratio is bank, that percentage of money will deposit with the Reserve Bank of India. The third rate, repo rate. It is the rate at which commercial banks borrow from RBI. Now in case commercial banks are falling short of funds, okay, whatever loans that they have lent, all those borrowers are not actually repaid the money. So therefore the running short of funds, they are not able to pay back their fixed deposits or RD or even say current or savings. Okay, they are running short of funds. So immediately commercial banks go to the rescue or go to the help of RBI. So at the rate at which they borrow money from RBI is called as repo rate. So once I say repo rate, all you need to remember is commercial banks borrowing money from RBI. It is only meant for short term. It injects liquidity into the economy. What do you mean by injecting liquidity is the cash flow in the economy will increase. Now banks were running short of funds, correct? Now when bank is borrowing fund from the RBI and keep taking to itself for its operations, that means there is more money flow in the economy. As long as the money was with RBI, there was no money flow, there was no liquidity. But the moment commercial bank borrowed from RBI, there started liquidity or money flow in the economy. Therefore, remember repo rate means commercial bank borrowing money from central bank, that is RBI. The rate at which it borrows, it is called repo rate. And remember, it is for short term. They do not borrow for very long term, probably 6 months or a year. The commercial bank has to pay back the amount to RBI. The current repo rate stands at 4%. Next is bank rate. It is the rate at which the RBI lends to other banks or financial institution. Now, if a bank has to recover, it has the bank has a NPA, that is non-performing asset, right? Bank has to restructure itself. Then it is the rate at which RBI lends to other banks or institution. Now, in order for the banks to restructure itself, the banks are going to, or the RBI is going to help the commercial banks, or even it might be other financial institutions like cooperative banks or RRBs, etc. It is meant for long term. So restructuring of a bank is not easy, or is not going to take within a month or within a week. It's going to take couple of years to properly structure the bank or reframe the bank. Currently, the bank rate stands at 4.25%. Reverse repo rate. It is the rate at which RBI borrows from the commercial banks. It absorbs liquidity. Now we just saw repo rate is what? Injecting liquidity. That is when commercial bank borrows from RBI, the liquidity or the money flow in the economy is going to increase, right? Now the opposite here is, that's why it's called as reverse repo rate. That is RBI borrowing from the commercial banks. Now this happens when RBI wants to reduce the money flow or the inflation rate in India or in the economy. Is that clear? Now in general, if we can observe, RBI is the Central Bank of India. All the banks are dependent on RBI. Now if RBI only has to borrow from commercial bank, now that's not possible, correct? All of them depend on RBI. RBI is the central headquartered bank which controls and regulates all the other banks. RBI can never run short of funds. But what it is meaning to RBI borrowing from banks is to just to reduce the liquidity or the money flow in the economy. If there is too much of money flow in the economy, then the loan people turn up to take a loan, right? And even when it is higher rate of interest, and RBI, it is difficult for them to control or track, right? So therefore, what the RBI does is, it takes money from the commercial banks, of course at a interest rate. So it is meaning it absorbs liquidity. So the money flow in the economy will be controlled, and this is the step taken up by the central bank. Now currently the reverse repo rate stands at 3.35%. Hope you have understood all the 5 rates: statutory liquidity ratio, cash reserve ratio, repo rate, bank rate and reverse repo rate. Is that clear to all of you? Moving on to the next topic called as investment norms. Now here, banks always remember, though it might receive a lot of deposits, it cannot survive, okay? Without lending money or without giving credit to people or institutions, banks cannot survive. Banks have to invest all the deposits they receive in the form of savings, current or FD or RD. Whatever forms they are receiving the deposits, they have to invest it. So the basic aim of any commercial bank, like any other business that exists out there, is to make profit. As I told, just by receiving the deposits, bank cannot survive, bank cannot run its operations. Banks also aim at making profits. The capacity of a bank to earn profit depends upon its investment policy. Is that clear? So what kind of decisions the bank management takes? How do I divide this amount? Where do I invest this amount? Do I buy government securities, or do I buy debentures, or do I buy equity shares of companies? Where does my investment decisions go? Based on these decisions only, the profitability of the bank will be decided, or the capacity will be known. The portfolio management refers to the management of banks' assets and liabilities in order to see the optimum combination of profit, liquidity and safety. Remember, for a bank and in respect to investment norms, these 3 concepts are very important: profitability, liquidity and safety. Now when I say portfolio management, it means you are managing the assets and liabilities of the bank. What is an asset to the bank? Remember, it's loan. It's not a deposit, is loan. What is a liability for a bank? It is deposits, because even though it is receiving lot of money in the form of FD, RD and so on, some or the other day in the future, banks are liable to pay them back with interest. Got it? Assets, banks are lending money to the borrowers in terms of individuals or institutions or companies. Companies have to pay the bank the money back along with interest in the future date. Understood? So, portfolio management means managing the assets and liabilities of the bank. Why do I have to manage? What is the objective? To see the optimum combination of what? Profitability, liquidity and safety. Let's look at these 3 points in detail. What is liquidity? It is the capacity of the banks to produce cash. How quickly and how hassle-free can banks produce cash? Why? Cash is the most liquid asset, right? We have seen most of the financial instruments, correct? Treasury bills, commercial paper, commercial deposit. We have seen intercorporate deposits, if you remember. All these are liquid, all these are easily convertible into cash. But what is the most liquid asset? It is cash. But it does not earn income for the banker. The banker should invest cash in the assets which are liquid in nature. So always remember, by just keeping deposits, if I say so and so bank, deposits are increasing, so many deposits almost running to 5 crore, that is not the point. Just by having 5 crore in the form of deposits, bank is not going to earn any kind of income. Bank has to what? Learn to invest that money or use that money wisely. Invest cash in assets which are liquid in nature. So they have to invest all this depository money in some kind of investment avenue, which, remember, it has to be liquid in nature. That means easily convertible into cash. Liquid assets are those which can be converted in the form of cash without loss within a short period. Now remember, if there is a sudden, even though a customer has opened 10 lakh rupees for time period of 5 years, if it's a FD, 10 lakh for 5 years, I have a confidence, okay, until 5 years I can use this money into various investment avenue. But then if the customer comes back, now usually people don't break down that 5-year lock-in period of FD, but if there is a medical emergency, if there is a family emergency, then if they need that 10 lakh rupees, immediately the next year, the second year itself, maybe the customer will come and demand that money. I need to close down the FD account and I need all my money back. If that is the case, then I should be, as a banker, be responsible and be willing to invest that money in such a manner in case such emergencies occur. Now it is just one person, one customer demanding rupees 10 lakh in his FD. Let's say like him, there's 100 more people demanding in the same manner. Then banks must arrange. For this emergency situation, banks must priorly make all the arrangements, a good amount of percentage of money to be invested in where? Liquid assets, so that it is easily convertible, because the customer is on the basis of emergency requesting to close down the FD. I need to be able to produce all the cash, that is principal plus the interest, whatever he has earned. Let's say for within 6 months he is closing, or within 1 year he is closing, whatever the interest little that he earns, I need to be ready to pay back. A distinction between solvency and liquidity should be observed. A bank is solvent when its assets are more or equal to its liabilities. Now here what I am talking about, these two concepts, solvency and liquidity, is solvency means when, let's say, the total deposits of the total liabilities of the bank are, let's say, 1 lakh rupees, okay, but the assets are double of that. Is that clear? Assets are double of that. So then I have the confidence that my bank is under solvency position, that is, assets are more or equal to its liabilities. Second, a bank is said to have liquidity when its assets can be converted into cash without loss. Two things the bank need to remember. The banks must always have assets twice or at least equal to liability. Same amount of liability if the assets have, good, or if it has more than liability, then the bank is beneficial. Second, when is the bank said to be liquidity? When banks can convert its assets into cash at short time period without much loss. Is that clear? So that's the first point, liquidity. Second, safety or security. The banks must exercise greatest care and vigilance in the matters of investing its funds received from public in the form of deposits. So banks must estimate the amount of risk attached to the various types of assets. Now when I am talking about liquidity, we know easily convertible into cash. Second most important thing under investment I need to look into is safety. Why do we invest into banks? Because it is safe, because it is secure. Yes or no? That's why each of the customer or a client will come open a bank account and invest their money into it. Because why it is? We tend it is safe and secure. Therefore, banks must take up the responsibility of care and vigilance in the matters of funds received from the public. Because tomorrow, bank is answerable to the public or the depositors if the money is not returned back to them. Yes or no? If customer is coming in demanding his deposit back, bank must be able to repay them. If banks are not able to repay, then there's going to be a legal action taken upon the bank. So banks must be very careful in dealing with the deposits of the public. So therefore, before investing the amount of money that the deposits they have received, banks must estimate the amount of risk. Last, compare estimated risk, differentials, consider short and long run consequences and strike a balance. So it is up to the bank's responsibility. Each investment avenue, as I told, investment means you need to check the risk, you need to check the return. How much risk is there in that avenue and how much possibility of loss can I face? I need to check both. Okay, what is the differences between each investment avenue? I need to check the risk, check the differences between each option, and also I need to consider what? Time period. For a short time period and for a long term period I need to check, and then I need to strike a balance between the decisions that the bank makes. Is that clear? The last point is profitability. Now at the end I told commercial banks aim at what? Making profits. So one of the principal objectives of a bank is to earn what? Income to meet all its expenses and also pay a fair return. Liquidity should not be sacrificed at the cost of profitability. Notice that word, liquidity should not be sacrificed, not be sacrificed. Now here what I am talking about is, just because people are going to in an emergency demand the term liabilities, that is what, FDs and RDs, I should not compromise. Okay, what if people are going to come and demand their deposits or term deposits, let me keep a good amount of money just for the purpose of meeting the emergencies. I should carefully calculate it. Okay, I cannot sacrifice, I cannot leave out my profitability objective and only focus on liquidity. Is that clear to all of you? I cannot ignore the profitability object and only concentrate on keeping the money in the liquid form. If and then, if customer demands the money, I should be able to ready to pay them. So I cannot sacrifice my profitability for liquidity. Therefore, I always need to strike a balance, calculate based on the other options, how much amount should I keep liquidity, and the rest of the amount should go where? Into investment. Because the more amount of funds I keep it in the liquid form, am I gaining anything? Are we gaining anything by keeping liquid amount of cash in a particular place? Is it going to multiply or grow? No. When does it grow or multiply? Only when you are investing. And when the money grows, of course, you are going to earn profits. At the same time, excess liquidity should not be maintained to sacrifice earnings. So therefore, if you are going to keep excess of liquidity, then means you are sacrificing your profit. Therefore, banker while employing funds should pay due regard to both profitability as well as liquidity. So these are the topics we have studied today: bank ratios as well as investment norms. We studied three basic and very prominent concepts for banks: liquidity, safety or security, and profitability.